Well, good day to you. I do hope that I find you well and that you've had the week that you wanted to have. Today, on Family Affairs Mondays, we are looking at the issue of uh, improving our family relationships, taking them from one level to another. My name is Justice Marwisa from the College of Marriage, Parenting and Family Affairs. And we are a learning center which is concerned about equipping people with knowledge and skills and tools that will help them to enjoy their family lives. So the question is, how do we improve our relationships? How do we change our relationships so that they become better? That's what we're looking at today. When people come to me, let me just introduce this by saying that they come, and for many of them, they are at a place that I call B, letter B. This is a place where people are dissatisfied, they have various issues, and their emotions are high. And I normally say to people that their emotions and where they are B is not like there is no cause. Reality is people would have been traveling from a place that I call A, letter A, and they've been traveling this journey, and now they are at a place called B, and they're not satisfied at that place. For many of them, they want to travel to a place which I call C, which is a better place, a dream they have of a life that is better than what they actually have. And one of the things that I also share with people is that getting to this place called C is possible. It's a journey that I normally walk with people from B to C. It's not an easy journey, but it's doable. In general, there are bends, there are twists, there are turns, and what would have happened between A and B is so painful and has a way of coming in between B and C to prevent people from seeing the C which they want. So the critical question we are asking today is how do we improve our family relationships? How can we move from B to C? That's what we are looking at today. I want to introduce to you the concept of what I call the assay of change. And the assay of change has four things that I will look at today. And the assay stands for four things, which are awareness, consistency, commitment, and intentionality. So let me begin by looking at awareness. So if you are to improve your relationship, if you are to move from a place where you are, it doesn't matter what the relationship is like within the family. It can be a relationship between you and your spouse or you and your children. What brings change first is awareness. And what do I mean by awareness? Awareness covers a lot of things here. You will need to be aware of the journey that you have traveled to date from A to this place where you are, which is called B. You need to be aware of the nature of the problems you are facing now. You need to be aware of that. The emotions that you are having, you need to be aware of that. You need also to be aware of the journey that you need to travel from where you are to where you want. You need to be aware of that journey. You need to be aware of the picture of the life you want to have. That is the C that you want to have. You will need to be aware of that. It must be something that is clear to you. You must also be aware of the challenges which most likely you will have in getting to the C that you want. I know many of us, we want to improve the relationships, but awareness is very important. because change begins with being aware. Be aware also of the obstacles you will need to overcome. You need to be aware of that this journey from B to C, it will not be an easy journey. It will be a difficult journey. In general, you will notice that all change towards the bettering your life is not easy, and you need to be aware of that. So some of the obstacles I share with people, and I want them to know the following things. You need to know that you can have problem of attitudes. If you don't change your attitude, if you are not aware of what we can call diseases of attitudes, you will not be able to change those. So attitudes like pride, you may need to deal with that. Attitudes of impatience, you also need to deal with that. If I look at pride, for example, reality, and I've always mentioned this to people, you can never reconcile relationships within the family from a position of strength. You can only reconcile from a position of weakness, and you will need to climb down from an egocentric position, come to a place where you are willing to engage your family if you are to be able to reconcile with them. So attitudes are obstacles which we will need to deal with. And another obstacle which we'll need to deal with is unwillingness to walk with your family again. So if you are unwilling to rebuild the marriage, reality is you will not be able to do it. If you are unwilling to rebuild the relationship with your family members, you will not make the effort. So it is important for people to be aware of some of these obstacles if they are to start the journey of reconciling or of improving their relationships with their family. Another thing that can be an obstacle is focusing on the past. As you want to get to the C that you want, as you want to improve your relationship. So the past probably was painful, but unless you are willing to stop focusing on the past and focus on the future, you will discover that the past will draw from you. It will give you negative energy. And so it is important for you to be willing to forgive so that you move forward. And finally, one of the obstacles would be the issue to do with the pain which we have because of the things that happened in the past. And we must be prepared to deal with this pain. We must be prepared to heal so that we can move forward. So awareness is critical if you are to change your relationships, if you are to build better relationships. Awareness is something that is very important. So be aware in a nutshell of where you are coming from, be aware of where you are, the nature of your relationship, where you are at the moment, and be aware of where you want to go. It is the first port of call if you are to build better relationships in the family. The second thing that would be important is issues to do with what is known as commitment in the assay of change. So the first C is commitment. One of my professors when I was at college said this to me. He mentioned that there is no program which one person can attend in life which by itself will bring change to that person because they've just attended. He mentioned that what brings change are people who are committed to make good decisions and to see them through based on the program they would have attended. So people who are committed to make good decisions and to see them through. I want to say to us friends that improving family relationships requires commitment, and commitment is key in terms of bringing change. The journey from B to C, the journey for you to improve your relationship with your kids, your relationship with your wife, will not be an easy journey. And of essence will be commitment. And there are several levels of commitment here which will be required. For example, you will need to be committed to rebuild the relationships. You will need to be committed to do that. You will need to be committed to resolve issues affecting the family members. We will need to have that commitment. We need to have the commitment to begin to communicate often with our family members, because what happens is when there are problems within the family, what is killed first and foremost is communication, and yet communication is the glue that we need to be able to bring the family together. You will need to be committed to move towards other family members, either to move towards your spouse or move towards your children. You will need to have that commitment, and also you need to be committed to meet the needs of the family members. We are all needy people, and in general what I've noticed is this: when our needs are ignored, we will not be able to enjoy our family relationships. And obviously another commitment requirement here is the commitment to be able to spend time with each other again. Friends, I want you to know that we can improve our family relationships, but what would be important is for us to learn the secret of being committed to the process of moving from where we are to where we want to be. That is something that would be important. Then the third thing that is required if we are to change our relationships for the better is what is known as consistency. Consistency is powerful because many people start the journey of going towards the sea and the better place, but for many people they don't finish. What I've discovered is many people suffer from what we call the syndrome of going over the hump. And what going over the hump simply means is there is a problem that you know is coming, you drive towards that hump, you slow down, and once you have gone over the hump, guess what? You increase the speed of life the way you were doing before that problem came. This does not work. What is important is for you to learn the secret or the need, the requirement for you to do good events repeatedly. So we know what people say, that you repeat an event long enough, it becomes a habit. You repeat a habit long enough, it becomes a behavior pattern. Reality is, if what has taken you to where you are today, to your B, is something that has been a bad event which you have repeated for a long period of time, to change and begin to do good things and have good behavior patterns, it will require you to also begin the journey of doing good things repeatedly, and that requires consistent actions, consistency in repeating good things. So I just want to say to you, consistency will be something that will be a game changer to you in terms of moving from where you are and to the relationship that you want to have. And finally, the last thing that will make a difference if we are to change our lives in this thing that we're calling the assay of change is intentionality. So we mentioned that awareness, then commitment, then consistency, and the fourth thing is intentionality. Friends, hear this. I have discovered that if you are to be consistent, you will require to be deliberate in on this journey of changing your relationship with your family without being deliberate, the art of deliberate practice, to actually say to yourself, I will be deliberate, for example, to create time with my family. If you were not giving time to your family, I'll be deliberate to communicate well with my family members. I'll be deliberate to be able to change a behavior pattern that is probably causing me problems with my family members. It will almost be impossible for you to change yourself and change the relationship. So intentionality is also key. And I have observed that as I've worked with many people who came for counseling, for coaching, and for mentoring, those who were deliberate in their efforts to change their lives, they changed the nature of their relationships. And so, friends, here it is, the assay of change: awareness, commitment, consistency, and intentionality. And I want to say to you, we have discovered through experience that those who have used the assay of change, their family relationships improved. Let me conclude by saying that it will be important for us to look at these four things, critically, and guess what? Begin the journey of putting these things into practice. And when we do that, we will be on our way to improving our relationships as a family. And you will notice that you will enjoy family life. It is possible to enjoy family life. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week again on another episode of Family Affairs Mondays. God bless you.